to check in all over the place. And of course, the video stream up, alive, and well on ESPN New York 98.7's Twitter feed, in addition to ESPN New York's Facebook page. I got to tell you, I'm just so happy with what's going on with the New York Jets. Joe Douglas, he's not just easy on the eyes, people. Okay? You need to get that through your heads. We're going to talk more about the Jets draft with Mel Kiper Jr. in just a little while. But I absolutely love everything that is coming out of Florham Park right now. You know, they cut Henry Anderson this week to create some more salary cap space. They can make a couple of other moves if they want, but I don't think you necessarily want to cut Jamison Crowder. But the bottom line is they're at $76 million in salary cap space, and that's outstanding. And they have all of these draft picks in the next 2 years, 9 picks in the first 3 rounds. Earlier today, Joe Douglas holding a news conference with Robert Saleh, a little pre-draft get-together, if you will, even though it's 2 months away. And Joe was asked about the possibility of listening to calls on Sam Darnold.
Our stance on Sam hasn't changed. He's an extremely talented player, very smart, very tough. We have no doubt that Sam is going to achieve his outstanding potential. Obviously, we're in the process of gaining as much information as we can leading up through free agency and the draft, but our stance on Sam has not changed.
They will listen to calls on Sam Darnold. There was a follow-up there as well where they asked that question, and they will listen to calls on Sam Darnold. That's part of the job. And I love that there is just a complete cloud around Florham Park of uncertainty for anybody trying to figure out exactly what the New York Jets are going to do. There is no telegraphing any of their moves right now. There is no, Saquon Barkley's touched by the hand of God. No, there's none of that. There's no real clue among anyone what the Jets are going to do. And yes, we're a ways away. Maybe that will start to become clear. But what you have seen, no leaks out of there, and the things that you hear that do come out are just other ways of making sure they're throwing all different kinds of options in the air. That to me is just, it's fantastic. They are in complete control of a situation that has so many options for them. They even downplayed the notion of trading for a star player. I wonder who they could be talking about. Yeah, listen, not really. Who knows? Listen, you're doing everything the right way right now. I'm so encouraged by what's going on because I truly see an organized situation, a situation that, frankly, is trustworthy. And I know it's going to take a while for fans to believe in that. But this group of people running this organization now, they know what they're doing. And if you look at it really in a way that tells you about the development, Joe Douglas came in as a first-year general manager, a first-time general manager, but he came in at a time where there really wasn't a ton of pressure on him. Were there mistakes in the first year and a half? Yeah, I think there were some mistakes. We think we can all agree upon that. But I think those mistakes, the results of what came out of them actually turned out to maybe not be so bad after all. Did they mislead? Did they not handle the Jamal Adams situation as smoothly as they could have? Of course not. But ultimately, they got 2 first-round picks and a third for a disgruntled safety who may be great, but he didn't help his new team get over the top like they were counting on. Played great as a box safety. Can't cover me. That's a problem. See you later, Jamal. Marcus May is upset. Joe comes out today. Love his agent. Love Marcus. He's such a good player. This was not the feel of the Jamal Adams situation. This was, we're probably not giving you a long-term deal right now, and you're going to get franchise tagged. Still going to get $11.5 million for the coming year. And frankly, Marcus May is a really good safety, but it doesn't mean that he's top of the line in the league in terms of what he deserves to be paid. They're playing so many things close to the vest here. Do they like a quarterback or not? None of us have any freaking clue. Are they going to trade Sam Darnold or not? We'll listen, but, of course we'll pick up the phone. Are they going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson? And listen, you don't expect guys to come out and go over the top in any direction. But can you honestly tell me that people around the league know what the Jets are going to do? We generally get some moves that are telegraphed and some moves that are just so crystal clear. I mean, we all knew but through his own very words that Dave Gettleman was going to be taking Saquon Barkley. We knew it.
He's been touched by the hand of God.
Yeah. Touched by the hand of God. We'll get to Dave. We'll get to the Giants here in a little bit. But for the first time, a Jet fan, whether or not you truly can believe in it yet, has the right to believe in what's going on. And I would understand if there's still skepticism until after the picks are actually made, and then you see what you come away with out of all of it. I got faith. It's been positioned exceptionally well. It is a general manager whose background is all about player evaluation. And I think we can all agree he did a pretty good job in year one of the draft. There's still some questions to be answered, but they got the stalwart left tackle that they needed. They got a guy who has a potential to be a big-time wide receiver. We started to see it later in the year after he went without a training camp. Everything is turning up, Jets. You have options. You know what? Quietly, around the league, other teams are jealous of what the Jets have right now to work with, to try to build their team. All the cap room, all the draft picks. Yeah, there's not a lot there in terms of the talent that is in place already. There are a few pieces. But they're jealous of what they have to work with, of having the picks that they have to work with, of positioning themselves as they have leading up until this point. Believe that. There are teams that are trading around their first-round picks like it's nothing. I mean, the Rams haven't had a first-round pick in 4 or 5 years. And they've been pretty good. But, I mean, they just had to trade away 2 more. The Bears with the Khalil Mack trade. He's been very productive. Has that trade paid off for them? No. Absolutely not. It's about collecting players, collecting talent. And don't discount the possibility that if somebody is truly in love with one of those other quarterbacks at the number 2 pick, that the Jets could get an even bigger haul, and then we start talking about not the deal itself, but the actual return in it over a couple of years. What happened with Herschel Walker? I mean, that Cowboys team was built out of the Herschel Walker trade. This Jets team could be built out of a couple of different trades. 800-919-3776. Your calls on the open lines first. Mel Kiper Jr. coming up in just a little bit as well. I couldn't be more excited for this show. You and me and time and sports talk and chatter and maybe a snack. I don't know. I love it all. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's Carlin.
I am a golden god! Yeah!
On 98.7 ESPN.
You are down, Chris.
All right.
No, it's a money dot.
Oh, one of those new hybrid breeds.
My people on the stream, what up?
It's a new game from the New York Lottery. Money dots pop up every 4 minutes, and if you match with one, you can win up to $50.
Is it hypoallergenic?
Win money on the dot with Money Dots from the New York Lottery. Look for it where Quick Draw is played. Must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 years or older to purchase a Quick Draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly.
Want to know how to play like a Ranger? Play like every game is a piece of a master plan. Play like you've known defeat, and that's why victory is the only option. Play for the fans like their family. Play together. Play to win it all. Play like a New Yorker. Watch the Rangers take on the New Jersey Devils tomorrow at 7 p.m. on MSG Network and get more action at NewYorkRangers.com or by following at NY Rangers on social media.
Hey, it's Michael Cade. Tune in for my show Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com today. See how much you could save.
AutoZone has more ways for you to start your job.
I got the coffee, brother. Right here, Stevie.
That's why AutoZone offers free same-day store pickup. You can order online and pick it up today at more than 5,800 AutoZone locations. Or if your job can wait, AutoZone offers free next-day delivery on orders over $35.
Hey, can you roll on yes on the nets to see if they do show the intros and if they boo Harden?
AutoZone.com today to start your job fast. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Spring training isn't just for baseball players. You could also get into shape before the warmer weather since it only takes 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds with NJ Diet. NJ Diet's contractually guaranteed program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva.
No donuts tonight? No, Reggie, I'm actually trying to drop some pounds. And I get a little cranky. Get a little cranky right now. Problem is really going to come later on tonight. Because 10 o'clock, I'm going to want a little something sweet. And I can't do it. I got to drink some water or something because that's where I get crushed. And I'm not a huge donut guy. Donuts have to be special for me to be really wowed.
555 NJ Diet or go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good.
Open lines, let's do it. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Of course, it's Ira in Staten Island. Ira, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, good, all good. I'm glad you're doing well. And boy, you're so right. I mean, Douglas and the Jets are playing this so close to the vest, and they should. They should be. I mean, they don't have to tip their hands. I think they're doing a good job. They're going a lot of different directions. But at the end of the day, I'd be very, very surprised if they don't move on from Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. I'd be really surprised. You got a new coach. You want to reset the money. You know the whole deal. And, you know, nothing against Sam, but the thing that I keep on going back on is that you want to say, well, he doesn't read defenses. He didn't have the pieces around him, the offensive line, the coach, so on and so forth. But how come Joe Flacco, okay, after he got the rust off and he got shut out against the Dolphins, I believe, how does he come in there and puts up 27 or 30 points in losing effort to the Broncos and the Pats. And all of a sudden, Crowder, Mims, and Perriman look like they're competent receivers. While when Darnold was in there with the same pieces around him, it didn't operate that way. And I think that's a very, very, I think that sums it up.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I think it's fair because I don't think my biggest knock on Sam is that despite the unfortunate situation he was in with who's around him, I never felt like he made anybody better. I never felt like he excelled nonetheless. That's why he does feel to me like somebody that needs everything to be perfect to win. He's not going to be Trent Dilfer. I think he can be a good third tier quarterback in the league, but I don't necessarily think that Sam is the answer here. My only problem is I don't know that Fields or Fields or Wilson are either. Yeah, I don't know that they are, and I like them both, but I don't know. I don't know when and we're going to talk to Mel about this in a little bit to get his take on where all of this plays out. But I don't see it where I can definitively say Wilson, who played against nobody, and Fields, who I do like a lot, but I think has some real shortcomings. That's where I'm bothered right now.
No, I get it, and I would like you to ask this to Mel when you get him, because I know where he's at. I've heard some of his stuff, but there's a one of these analytic companies out there. I'm not going to mention the name, but they had Donald coming out of USC, and however they come up with their grades, they had him graded out at about an 80. Okay, and they have Wilson and Fields graded at both over 90. And, that's a little different in Kuiper, and I respect Kuiper, and maybe Kuiper's right. But I do believe there's something about Wilson that I see. Maybe I'm looking through it with green-colored glasses, but I think he has an it factor. And I know the competition, and I get that. But if you look at some of his highlight tapes, and you look at some of the throws, not the ones that guys are open by 20 yards, but where he's making a throw and he has to put the ball where nobody else can get it, and the guy's blanketed by a defender. Those are throws that a lot of quarterbacks don't make, and he makes that. And I think with the proper coaching, and I think he's the type of guy that could fit into a LaFleur system. I really think that's the direction they could go. But listen,
I think that's a fair point. I think it's a fair point, Iran. Thanks for the call. I also think that Fields is very much the same way. I saw Fields make some throws this year that really not many others can make. Rolling to his left, throwing across his body, putting the football 20 yards away where only his receiver can get it. Like, that's a virtually impossible throw to make. You're not wrong about Wilson and some of the throws he made. You're not. What I would say is that does not completely make a quarterback. 800-919-3776. Spike in Jersey. It's been a while. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm counting the days. You've been on the road a little bit. I've been listening, and Florida and Vegas. How about me and you? I'll get the tickets. We go out to Minnesota for Saturday.
What's Minnesota?
Isn't Rutgers playing Minnesota?
Yeah, they are, but I have no interest in going to Minnesota. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
If I could put
I actually
200-inch TV. We gotta win this game, man.
Yeah, they do. I got to tell you, the other night was bad. That was a terrible loss. But I wasn't thinking, I wasn't thinking with Minnesota there for a second. But it is a great venue. It is an old barn.
I've been there, and not my favorite coach, but we'll leave that go. Here's the thing. I'm going to repeat what I sent you in my tweet. Since the inception of Sports Talk Radio, the place you used to work, in '87, I guess it started. I'm not going back to Mazer and what was the other
Arthur Rush Jr.?
Yeah, great, Arthur George. Yeah. So I'm going to the mainstream, the two top guys talked about were always Patrick Ewing and Darryl Strawberry. It was constant, and Sam Darnold is in that sphere now. I mean, and he is below mediocre, and those guys were stars. It's just what it is. It's just the way the dialogue's gone. But listen, he's not that good. He never was that good. He's below average, and they know it. And I don't know what the GM's pulling. He pulled the same bit with the safety last year. It's obvious he's not going to play there, but let's not drive the price down too much.
No, I don't think they're trying to drive the price down. I think they're very much keeping everything wide open and considering everything and making sure that everybody knows that. I'll disagree on the other point, but more importantly, I do want to get your take real quick on something I said last night, and I'm surprised I didn't hear from you last night. The idea that you got to get Julius Randle a little bit of a blow here at some point. You got to get him a little bit more rest.
Yeah, well, but Chris, you know as well as anyone, because you're a basketball historian, and I'm not saying that for any other reason.
That's not really true, but okay.
Well, no, you studied, basketball before your time and all. You've always prided yourself on that. You educate yourself, and I'm saying that complimentary, obviously. That's Thibodeau's MO. Thibodeau came here to win now, and I didn't like it either. I didn't like it. Last night he got out-coached. Forget the back-to-back. Aldridge didn't play. Thibodeau's a great coach. Popovich is a Hall of Fame coach. The defensive integrity in the second half of that game was deplorable.
Yeah, it wasn't there.
They just could, and you're going to lose. Look at the turnovers to assist. 8 turnovers and 34 assists for the Spurs. Case closed.
Yeah, listen, I can't argue with that, Spike. Thanks for the call, brother. The second half of the game was a complete mess defensively for the Knicks. It truly was. But I'm going to cut them some slack because they're going to have games like that. To me, just go out and win tomorrow night. But I still am going to be of the belief that Randall needs to get a little bit more of a break. Jack in Scotch Plains is next. Jack, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
What are you hanging outside the Quick Check tonight, Jack?
No, I'm not there tonight. I'm at the high school. I'm just about to go up to the track to put in some. I'm doing some exercise. I got to lose some pounds.
Nice. I used to walk around that track too when I pretended to exercise.
Hey, I just listened to. I love Ira, and we're big Jet. I'm a big Jet fan, and you know what? From what Joe Douglas said today, and I agree with Michael Kay because he said this too. I don't think the Jets are playing it close to the vest because I think by him saying they're fielding calls, Sam's done. And I've called you before, and I told you that I wanted them to stick with Sam, trade down, and stockpile, the picks. But I think that I think from what Joe Douglas said today, I think that basically said, you know what? I think we're done. And now my question to you is, if they are done, who do you think is the better person to take, Wilson or Fields?
Well, all right, two things. First of all, if they are done with Sam, it means they're taking a quarterback. I don't think Sam gets traded before draft day itself because it would be too much of a telegraph of the move if you're going to do that. I think they are truly still in between on what they want to do. I don't know that for sure, but I don't get the sense, nobody really does, and that's the beautiful thing about it, that they're in love with one of the quarterbacks, and that's why I think they will wait right up until draft day to trade Sam away. Because if they don't, right. if they trade Sam now, it means they're taking a quarterback at number 2.
Right, they have no leverage at that point.
Right.
Exactly. Right. All right. Yeah.
They have leverage. It can, if they feel like, all right, let's argue for a second that they actually like Fields more than Wilson, and they could slide back to the Falcons, and they think the Falcons are going to take Wilson, and they could still take Fields. Well, yeah, there's still some leverage there if they don't definitively love Wilson over Fields or Trey Lance, which I don't think Trey Lance is the guy either.
No, I don't either. I mean, I again, I still, my worst nightmare is seeing Sam going to another team and being so good, and we didn't get to experience that as Jet fans. That's my only sadness about the whole thing. If he leaves. But
I'm not that far along, Jack, and thanks for the call, to believe that it is 100% accurate that they're done with Sam. I didn't take that out of today at all. Not in the least. I think they are leaving every door wide open right now, and I don't think they are going to tip their hand one bit. There are teams that do it, they're not doing it. That's very clear. Mel Kiper Jr., all the draft info on the Jets and the Giants you need next.
It's Carlin.
I am not building a shed.
On 98.7 ESPN.
Chris, you got to read here.
Rookie Emmanuel,
Okay.
quickly, you played so well, but the fact that you dropped to the 25th pick, is that something that
definitely will at the beginning, but now it's more
Got it.
focusing on the
Okay, cool. Going to you in 15 with the read.
I think we deserve. A lot of people saying it's because we're in the East, we're not that good. We want to continue to get better, control what we can control, stay in that playoff race.
Don't miss the Michael K. Show, weekdays at 3 on 98.7 ESPN.
There are so many ways to bet on the NBA on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook app and an authorized gaming operator of the NBA. Now, I like FanDuel because the app is just so simple to use. They offer live betting throughout games, provide promotions and odds boosts daily, and have exclusive bet types such as the same game parlays, where you can combine multiple bets from one game into a single parlay. Like tonight, Nets in Houston. You think Harden's not going to try to go off? Maybe you're tying together the overs of Harden and the Nets Houston total points. Once you win, they get you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. And if you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today. Place your first bet risk-free. They're going to give you up to $1,000 back if you don't win. And all customers can get up to $25 back each day, every day, if your parlay falls one leg short with the same game parlay insurance. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Sign up with promo code Carlin so they know the big fella sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Carlin. Got to be 21 or older, present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. Site credit non-withdrawable. Expires in 14 days. Same game parlay max refund, $25. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
With a world-class whiskey distillery in the city.
Yes, we are.
West
All right, cool.
sponsor the U.S. ski and snowboard team, and as Utah's first legal distillery.
Hey, Chris.
70, they
The guy, one of the callers, he wants to ask you what your favorite type of sandwich is. I don't know if you want.
You can leave them for later.
Okay, cool.
thoughtfully sourced, deliciously blended, and proudly made for whiskey lovers like you. Sip responsibly. Whiskey 40 to 50% alcohol by volume. High West Distillery, Park City, Utah.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply down.
It's self-contained, so it's all good. It's 19 minutes.
Yes.
And whether
We
you're a
may,
market seller,
play that back later in the 9:30 range.
All right.
We may.
Or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
Fitness will always be about keeping.
Randall shouldn't play more than 36 minutes a game. Well, that's about what he's doing right now. And it's a career high. That's the problem.
Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer.
Sounds like one of the British
They say, trust the process. But if
I don't even know what that means.
process,
John Cunningham and Joe, I trust. I finally feel like we have a GM who knows more about football than.
light beer. Enjoy responsibly.
Good point,
AB
John.
Michelob Ultra Light Beer. St. Louis,
I
Missouri.
like it.
When the time comes to pop the question, everyone seems to have a guy for you. At 2 by London, the engagement shop at London Jewelers, they have a family. In its fourth generation, the team at 2 by London has the experience and knowledge to help you select or design the perfect engagement ring to fit any budget. They'll work with you every step of the way and provide a truly customized and safe experience. Shop online or make an appointment at 2bylondon.com or visit 2 by London today and mention ESPN at the Americana Manhasset, East Hampton, and Westfield World Trade Center.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You can save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings are based on Quicken Loans, internal data. Points and fees may apply. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Number 3030.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks.
How
for
much
up to
time?
50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune into Straight Talk.
Coming back here with 10.
Track, no compromise.
So it's all contained, so you're all set.
Okay.
Relax.
Filet of fish. Right now, enjoy 2 filet of fish sandwiches for just $6. That's 2 filet of fish sandwiches for $6 only at McDonald's.
No rest for the weary. No rest for the weary for this guy. He is Mel Kiper Jr., probably the busiest guy in the country around this time of year as the NFL draft approaches. Still about 2 months away, but so much evaluation and so many mock drafts out there. Mel, we appreciate the time. How you doing?
Oh, great to be with you, Chris. Looking forward to the next couple months. There's a lot of draft talk and a lot of things, obviously, over the next few weeks. Once we get free agency, will impact all these ratings and certainly all these mock drafts.
Well, Mel, this is very interesting. Now, first of all, last week came out with mock draft number 2. You had Trevor Lawrence at 1. You had the Jets moving back a little bit. But I first want to talk about Zach Wilson because it seems as if there have been other places where Wilson is starting to creep up on Trevor Lawrence. Where do you see the difference between the two? Is it a 1 and 1A or is it a 1 and a definitive 2?
It's a 1 and a definitive 3 for me. I have Justin Fields slightly ahead of Zach Wilson, but I do agree that Wilson could go at that second spot to somebody trading up. But Trevor Lawrence had 3 years. Zach Wilson had 1 year against a very soft schedule. I'm being kind there, against weaker opponents. So he did a great job, no question about it. But if you go back and look at prior to this season, he had some ball security issues. He had some bad interceptions. He looked like anything but a first-round quarterback, and he added weight. He added strength. He got back from that shoulder surgery in 2019 to struggle a little bit, but then put it all together this year. I give him total credit. But to say he's up there with Trevor Lawrence, I think is a major stretch. And that really happens all the time. Remember, Rick Meyer, Drew Bledsoe debate, and you go back to all the debates that took place along the way with the first quarterback and the second quarterback. We've always had that where they try to jump somebody ahead. But in this case, I don't think there's any doubt. Urban Meyer took that Jacksonville Jaguar job for one reason. It's because he knew he was getting Trevor Lawrence.
Mel, when you look at a guy like Wilson, you mentioned the fact that he played a cupcake schedule, and he did. How much do you take that into account when you're evaluating a quarterback prospect?
It's not the all-encompassing part of it. It's a piece, especially when you're comparing, say, Zach Wilson to a Justin Fields. Justin Fields played a tough schedule in 2019. He got his team to a chance to play Clemson, and he came up a little short on an interception in the end zone, which was not his fault. He had 41 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was at 67%. And this year, interrupted by COVID, games canceled, interruption to practice schedule and all that, meeting schedule. He had 2 rough games against Indiana and Northwestern. Now, came back, he played against Clemson, and he played tremendously well in that semifinal game, outperformed Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's worthy of still being way up there. So I think that's what you have to look at, the competition there. If you're separating players, it's not going to hurt Trey Lance all that much. He's going to go in the top 10 based on potential, not what he did. He played 1 game, and he wasn't impressive in that game against Central Arkansas. So that's all based on where he can be 2, 3, 4 years from now. With a guy like Mac Jones, it's about where he is now because how much better is he going to be? not having the dual threat ability that some of these other quarterbacks have. So this is a tough group to evaluate. Todd McShay and I today were on, and Todd called it brutal. A lot of these evaluations are just brutal to try to separate players who opted out from guys that played. It's really going to be a rough evaluation process for a lot of these NFL teams to try to get it right.
How do they go about this? I mean, what's the best way to do it? There are going to be some pro days. There's no combine. You obviously have all the access to tape that you need, but there are those guys that haven't played enough, frankly.
Yeah, what they're doing, Chris, is they're battling another guy at a position. Caleb Farley didn't play at Virginia Tech. You got an outstanding 2019 season at cornerback, but then you have Patrick Surtain II, who did play. You have Devontae Smith, wide receiver, who played great. You have Jamar Chase, who did not play at LSU, same position. So, again, you have the Gregory Rousseau, pass rusher at Miami, defensive end, had a great year in 2019, need to improve on some things, and didn't play. And Jalen Phillips did and took his number and had a ton of sacks and did a great job at Miami. So, separating those guys, then you have Landon Dickerson, center at Alabama, injured late in the year, but he should be ready by the third, fourth game of the season. How does that deal? You have Jason Oweh, Chris, who was a pass rusher you thought this year maybe had 10 sacks. He had no sacks. He went from 5.5 sacks to no sacks, but he's going to run 4.3 at 260. He's got great length, great potential as a pass rusher. So there's a kid, Jason Oweh. You're drafting him to be a pass rusher, and he didn't even have a sack this year at Penn State. That's what we're dealing with in this draft with a lot of guys who are, I wouldn't say boom or bust, the old cliche, but I'd say are difficult evaluations.
Mel Kiper Jr., the iconic voice, you know it. Mel, you did something I thought was very interesting in your column yesterday, and that was taking the 2020 quarterbacks and putting them in where they would slot in this year's draft. And there was that larger gap where Zach Wilson was back at like 5th and Trevor Lawrence was still up there at 1st. So around here, the talk is always going to be about Sam Darnold and where he would slot in this draft if he were coming out right now. In your estimation, where would that be?
It would be right behind Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I said that I've been consistent with this all the way through, Chris. The only quarterback in this draft that would make me move away from Sam Darnold. I didn't have Sam Darnold as the top quarterback when I had Josh Allen as one of my all-time highest graded quarterbacks coming as my top 10 to 15 highest graded quarterbacks ever. And I liked him over Sam Darnold, but I like Sam. Just because you have somebody over one or the other doesn't mean you don't like the other one. And I tend to like a lot of these quarterbacks. Some of them don't pan out. That's been the nature of the first-round quarterbacks, Chris. Some of these guys just don't live up to the potential. That's just the way it is. But in terms of ranking them, that's the key is how do you rank them? You're going to like them, but who do you like a little more? I mean, I go back to Kansas City a few years ago. They were all set to trade up to get Paxton Lynch. They wanted Paxton Lynch. They didn't get him. Denver did. The next year, John Dorsey in Kansas City, who was a GM then, drafted Patrick Mahomes. So he made a bad evaluation of Paxton Lynch, right? The next year, he made a great evaluation of Patrick Mahomes. That's what the quarterback situation of evaluating is. It's hit or miss. So I would say Sam Darnold, to me, if I'm the Jets, I'm keeping Sam. I'm helping him, something he hasn't had. I'm not making a move to Zach Wilson and trading him because then Zach Wilson ends up with an inferior supporting cast, and you don't know anything about Zach. And, Sam's been, for what he's had to deal with, has shown, I think, some promise. Can you get Deshaun Watson? I'd go after Deshaun Watson hard, but that's me. But there's no quarterback in this draft other than Trevor Lawrence would force me away from Sam Darnold.
So what's happened with him, is it almost unfair to try to evaluate him after the 3 years that he's had because of what you're talking about? Because that's what the talk is around here. He hasn't had anything to work with.
No. I mean, you think about the offensive line, the tight end position gave him nothing, the wide receiver spot, look at that, what was going on there. Now they have Denzel Mims, who could be a really good player, and Mekhi Becton could be a really elite left tackle. Look at the running backs. So, you got just average players. So, again, you're talking about a group of players around the quarterback that isn't the big-time NFL caliber players you need, at least at certain spots, have some star power around your quarterback. They don't have any. So, again, you're talking about Sam also with the mono, and then you had the shoulder. So he's he's young, and he's coming out of college, and he's got to ease his way in, and he's got nothing helping him. So to me, what I would hate to do if I'm the Jets is draft a quarterback at 2 and lose out on Kyle Pitts, tight end Florida, or one of the two receivers, either Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase. That's helping your quarterback big time. These are 3 special players, the 2 wide receivers and the tight end. You lose all 3. Any one of those 3 guys you want, you could get by moving even down from 2 to 4 or down from 2 to 6. And that you're going to get 2 of those 3 still available. So I would rather go that route. Move down, acquire picks and get one of those three elite pass-catching entities and stay away from the quarterback. Go with Sam Darnold. See what you have there over the next few years. I understand the money situation's coming up. Deal with that. But if you take Zach Wilson, you're going to lose out on a guy who could really help that quarterback in one of those three players.
Mel, you said this week that Pitts is in a different category than any player you can remember it evaluating. Jet fans hear tight end and they think, oh, God, why would we take one that high? Tell us about Kyle Pitts and what makes him so different in your eyes.
Well, I think the ability to do anything at a receiving entity type position. Put him outside, inside slot, tight end, inline. He can block well enough. He's one of the – I mean, if you said to the Jet fans, would you want Travis Kelce? Would you want Darren Waller? Would you want Tony Gonzalez when he was playing? Would you want that kind of player in your offense? Yes, you would. Kyle Pitts – and the thing with Kyle Pitts is he's a tight end. He's a receiving entity, as I call him. There's nobody like him at that spot. So you're not going to find a player in the second round or another player in the first round or steal a guy in the fourth round that's going to be as good as Kyle Pitts or even close. You can find other receivers. That's why I thought for the Jets, if they move from 2 to 4, look at Kyle Pitts maybe over the receivers because there's a really good group of receivers that are going to go in the second and third round this year. So, but you're not going to find a Kyle Pitts in the second or third round. So that was my logical thought process there, Chris, as to why Kyle Pitts would make sense for the Jets. If they did move off of that second spot down to the 4th spot.
Fans have wanted to see Mel, and of course it's Mel Kiper Jr. with us, ESPN's great draft analyst. Mel, fans have wanted to see potentially adding another tackle in Penei Sewell in the first round. Separate fact from fiction here, Mel. Taking a tackle 2 years in a row that high to give you bookends, good idea or not?
You know, you can't have them all, Chris. You can't have the wide receiver, the tight end, and the tackle. You got to decide what do you want. I would say this: go to the highest rated players, and the highest rated players are going to be that group. Now, who do you feel is the best of that group? And you could certainly make a strong argument for every one of them. Now, the thing with Penei Sewell is he didn't play. He only had the one full year in 2019. He was hurt some in 2018. So, you look at Sewell, 1-year guy, did not play, opt out. Hey, you had no contact with those guys the entire year. So you might feel safer with a Kyle Pitts who averaged 18 yards a catch. That was a key entity for Kyle Trask there in that offense at Florida, or Devontae Smith, who had an unbelievable year, wins the Heisman Trophy. So I think Smith and Pitts, because they played, make a lot of sense. Even though we know Chase is going to be really good, but he only had one great year at LSU. That was it, one great year. And we know Sewell had that one full season at Oregon. That's it. So while these two are talented, it's a very limited body of work.
Mel, when you have a guy like Deshaun Watson who could end up being available here, and it certainly looks like at some point they're going to have to trade him. In today's draft capital, what is he worth?
I'd say what they're talking about, 3 number ones, Chris, and a player. They were talking about Christian McCaffrey with Carolina and the number ones, and to get a 25-year-old quarterback who's a franchise quarterback, who's one of the top 3 to 4 or 5 quarterbacks in this league. You can make an argument strongly that he's one of these super elite quarterbacks in this league, and he didn't have anything, and he still was great. This is the thing: you come to the Jets, they're gonna have to build up the supporting cast. Well, with the Houston, he had issues. They took his best guy away in Hopkins, and he still had a phenomenal year overall. So he's dealt with that type of thing, and he would have to deal with it with the Jets while they're building Joe Douglas, the GM is, that talent base around him. So I would have no issue. They have a surplus of picks now. They have a lot of opportunities now to go out and get players, and you could trade Sam Darnold, get something. Obviously, he would be part of that deal, so Houston would be getting Sam Darnold, and you would be obviously giving up draft choices, but they'd be getting their quarterback plus draft picks. It wouldn't necessarily maybe have to be as many, but I would go that route in a second if I could get Deshaun Watson, but there's speculation Denver, Carolina, who knows what the Bears are going to be doing, but Denver, Carolina seem to be teams that are mentioned the most when it comes to Deshaun Watson.
With all the needs that they have, Mel, if we make the assumption that they're going to go with an offensive playmaker with the first pick, at the 23rd pick, what should the Jets be looking at?
Well, they could look corner. J.C. Horn from South Carolina, Joe Horn's son. I have going 16. Maybe he slides down that far. I went with Kwity Paye, the defensive end from Michigan. Todd's got a mock coming out on Friday, so he'll have his opportunity there to project who the Jets would take at that 23rd spot. But I would think pass rusher, corner on defense, offensive line, wide receiver on offense. So if you think tight end, then you could look at wide receiver. What problem I had there, Chris, is I had Kadarius Toney Tony already gone to Chicago, and I thought pay would be better than taking Terrace Marshall Jr., the wide receiver from LSU. I thought about a corner, but I also had Horn off the board by then. So I went with the pass rusher at 23. But corner, pass rusher, there's an offensive tackle at Stanford by the name of Walker Little, played left tackle, was injured in 2019 in the first game, did not play last year. He's going to be in the mix. The Christian Darrisaw, an offensive lineman from Virginia Tech, played left tackle, could be a right tackle, though, in the NFL. But I would say those would be the positions for me, either wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, tight end, no, if they get Pitts. If they didn't take Pitts, it's a little high for Pat Freiermuth from Penn State. I have a solid second-round grade on him. So I would say if you get Pitts, you would go wide receiver, you would go pass rusher or corner.
Mel, a couple more real quick. Giants, you've got him at Jalen Waddle at number 11. When you look at the Giants, is that number one wide receiver the absolute biggest need they have?
I think it is. Everybody needs pass rushers. We know that, Chris, and certainly the cornerback position and the O-line. We know about that situation's got to come together, and Thomas has to get better. But we know all those things that are going on with regard to their team as they have it. If you say, okay, what can Jalen Waddle mean to that team? He can mean an awful lot. To me, there's not much, Chris, separating him from Jamar Chase and also a guy like Devontae Smith. I mean, if you look at that team going into the year, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle were kind of 1 and 1A. And the only thing that prevented Jalen Waddle from being up there right now with Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase is the ankle injury. But he got back for the championship game, even limping. He caught 3 balls, one of which was on third down, key play. This kid is a great punt returner. He's going to help you in terms of your field position. Like I said, we know Andrew Thomas and that offensive line has to get better. But if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at strongly at Jalen Waddle at 11 if he's there. And there's no guarantee he will be there because, like I say, he's a dynamic performer, great competitor. But if he's there at 11, I think you would rate it in 10. Now, would you trade up from 11 a couple spots to get him? Maybe. If you stay at 11, you may lose him. So that's going to be something to watch very closely as to whether the Giants can get him at 11 or maybe, like I say, he's off the board a couple picks earlier.
You mentioned Trey Lance and the fact that he's only played 1 game earlier. You called him the most fascinating player that you've had to try to evaluate in quite some time. Why is that, Mel? I mean, is it just the fact that we haven't seen him enough?
Well, it's 1AA. Okay, so you think about 1AA players. Normally, you get a pretty good body of work because they're usually going to stay majority of their career. They're usually playing early on, or they had a couple years at the JUCO ranks, and then they come in and do their thing. He was at North Dakota State with 1 start this year. That's it, October 3rd against Central Arkansas. Was 15 to 30 with an interception. Last year, he played really well. 16 starts, but he had 5 games where he was below 56%. 56.5. He had 15 to 17 starts in his career where he was 23 pass attempts or fewer. Some guys have 23 pass attempts in a quarter. He only had 23 pass attempts or fewer and 15 to 17 starts. He's only 20 years of age, arguably the youngest player in this draft. So when you talk about level of competition, 17 starts, only 1 start this past year. I mentioned the fact that his accuracy needs to improve just a little bit. That makes him one of those guys you roll the dice on. If you're talking top 10 of the draft, you're rolling the dice there that he's going to fulfill that potential. I will say this, Chris, had he gone back to North Dakota State or done what I thought, maybe transfer to Texas or transfer to Ohio State and play in 2021 there, he would have done that and played well. He would have been the number 1 pick guaranteed in 2022. So you can, I guess if you want to spin it that he could be a bargain at 9, 10, 11, 12, you can maybe spin it that way. If you say, hey, had he gone back, he might have been number 1. We're getting him at 9, 10, 11, and 12 because he only played 1 game. He didn't even play great in that 1 game.
Perhaps your most important evaluation this week in your column, the fact that you have said absolutely not to pineapple on pizza, Mel. Please expound on your thoughts.
No, I'm not a cheese. I take the cheese off most of it, at least some, and then I'm a big mashed potatoes with pizza person. So I love mashed potatoes with the pizza. Yeah, I love mashed potatoes with the pizza, and I only like pineapple and pineapple upside down cake. And when I hear think pineapple, I think pineapple upside down cake only, or a pineapple crush or something like that. I love an orange crush that was developed here in Ocean City, down here near Ken Island where I live, and so I would say whether it's a pineapple crush, orange crush, whatever it may be, but for pineapple, it would be a pineapple upside down cake only with, like I say, pizza. No, I'm pizza without the cheese with mashed potatoes.
I am absolutely stunned at pizza with mashed potatoes, Mel. How did that
really
develop?
good.
How did you make that happen? Were you a kid? Where did that come from? I wouldn't even think of it.
It came, I think, with ESPN. When you're up there, you're trying to get everything quick because you're in between doing Sports Center and NFL Live and all the things you're taping. And I remember just combining the two, and I said, "Man, this really works." This really, pizza with mashed potatoes got it done, Chris. It just clicked, is what I guess it would say. It was the old pick the click, as they used to say. So I think that would be my pick the click is mashed potatoes. Like the Hawk Harrelson used to say, is pick the click. So that was my best go-to dinner was pizza with mashed potatoes, and then maybe a little pineapple upside down cake for dessert.
All right, well then, what's the dessert with the most upside, Mel?
Oh boy, that pumpkin pie. I'm a big pumpkin pie fan with the fat-free whipped cream. Love that. But I'll tell you what though, Chris, pineapple upside down cake is not far behind. That is or like a good coffee cake.
Who wins a fight between a bear and a shark?
I don't want to run into either one. How's that? I don't want to run into either one.
You can't go 1 and 1A here, Mel. You can't go 1 and 1A like it's the draft.
I think I might have to. I'll just say avoid the best you can. I respect them, but avoid them. How's that?
Even on a neutral site.
Anywhere, anytime, I'm going to stay away.
Mel Kiper Jr., awesome stuff. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Chris. You have a great time. Thanks, bud.
I give him all the credit in the world for what he has become. And there's nobody who really analyzes, he brings more energy to it and is into it as Mel is. It's tremendous stuff. It's him, it's Daniel Jeremiah, and it's McShay. And Jeremiah's right there. I mean, he's outstanding. I'm sure we'll have him on soon. But Mel, I mean, mashed potatoes with pizza? That's going to make me question a lot of things. A lot of things. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Carlin, open lines when we come back on 98.7 ESPN. Edit.
Hi, New York.
My thing's misfired.
I was like, what's going on?
No,
Right?
my thing
That's
misfired.
what cable news is these days.
Try to take this to the top because then it would be like a minute segment. What's the point of that?
Opinions
It's all right. You can. I'll do the minute segment and just promote calls and what I'm going to do next.
Oh, okay.
And let them tell their story. Just a conversation, and then you can decide because that's the way it should be.
Banfield, weeknights at 10/9 Central on News Nation.
Hey, it's Michael K. Tune in for my show Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today. See how much you could save.
Amazon is now hiring in the Avenel, Edison, and Somerset areas. We are looking for team members who know that their work is important and that every package matters. Find a job that fits your life with competitive wages, reliable hours, and benefits. Let's work together, from boxing it up to sending it on its way. Every step offers a different role and schedule. So, are you ready to work together in your community? Visit Amazon.com/apply to see what's available. That's Amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
What's up, my peoples? It's Bart Scott, and I'm your favorite linebacker because you know I'll lie on you. I'll never lie to you. We've all been there getting our yearly physical and hear those closing remarks. Is it anything else? Yeah, it is, Doc. I don't get as firm as I used to. I'm not as confident. It's hard to slip a pill in your mouth while you're on a dinner date without her noticing. But guys, we won't say anything. Instead, we suffer in silence. Well, guys, call me Captain Saver, because I got a solution for you. BlueChew.com, the first male enhancement chewable with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It only takes a few minutes to connect with a BlueChew.com affiliate physician, and if you qualify, you get prescribed online. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first order free when you use promo code NYC. All you got to do is pay $5 in shipping and handling, and don't worry, put your swag jack in your jag, and it is your duty to please that booty.
Sugar House Sportsbook wants you to experience Rush Pay. When you want to cash out your winnings, you don't want to wait 2 days just to get the go-ahead to withdraw your money. That's why Sugar House created Rush Pay. With Rush Pay, 80% of withdrawal requests are approved instantly, meaning you'll get your money faster. Why wait?
All right, Chris, coming back here in a minute.
You want it. Bet with a
You got me?
bet with Sugar House Sports.
And then you have like 50 seconds.
That's fine.
New Jersey only. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Swear they passed us. They doing too
Is this the thing?
Haven't done my
Mashed potatoes with pizza? Wait, am I missing it? It's not a millennial thing. I mean, Mel's on it. I'm looking at Rachel Ray has a mashed potato pizza recipe, but there's no sauce. There's no cheese in there. Mashed potatoes and pizza? I can't imagine. It's like one thing if we're talking about like potato skins loaded with, sour cream and bacon and cheese with pizza. All right, I'll get into that. But mashed potatoes and pizza. Oof. Open lines. Let's go. 800-919-3776. Dave Gettleman and the Giants next.
For a staying safe, staying put. But now